Welcome back to the channel, Bridging the Gap Student to Engineer, where STEM professionals provide advice to students. This video is a deep dive into the University of Illinois Chicago School of Engineering. We're going to look at their results, their retention rates, and some information about who hires from them. As always, please like, subscribe, and share with friends. And also take a look in the description for links that we refer to in this video. Let's get right to it. For this video, we are going to start at the University of Illinois Chicago College of Engineering undergraduate splash page because I would like to point out a few things on this initial page before we get into the actual data. So first thing I want to point out is that the school has over 4,000 undergraduate engineering computer science students. That will become important as we start looking at other data. And they're also bragging about a ranking that they have for best value by a particular publication. So you can scroll down, and what I want to first point out is this guaranteed paid internship program. So there are a lot of schools that require an internship for graduation. The vast majority of those are not guaranteed. They will say that you need to have one, but if you can't find one, that sometimes becomes a barrier for your graduation. The University of Illinois Chicago has what they call a guaranteed paid internship program. I'm going to click on this link and show you what it is, just to give you a little bit of feel for what this program is and why it might be interesting and useful. So what this does is it tracks students who are freshmen and then also transfer students. And what they need to do is maintain a 3.2 GPA. And then as they complete their freshman year, then they can be placed over the summer after your freshman year. So this is key for a few reasons. One is it is often hard to get an internship after your freshman year. Some students and a lot of students will wait until the following summer. Some students will say, well, I have a part-time job throughout school and I want to keep that job. I don't want to get a separate job during the summer, and they may end up not ever having an internship. But what this program does is it provides UIC engineering students who meet a minimum GPA requirement with a paid internship over the summer. Now, if you look at the way that this is delivered and the way students see this is that they are given a paid internship in either a research lab or in other university departments. So the guarantee is not that you will get an internship with a company, but the university itself will provide you with a paid job that is presumably in some way related to your interest area or your major, which is great. Because getting that paid experience while you're in school is a huge, huge thing when you're trying to get a job after you graduate. Graduating without any experience makes it much harder to get a full-time job afterwards. So just wanted to point this out. I will provide these links as always in the description for the video, so please go check them out. Back to the initial undergrad engineering webpage. At the very bottom, there's an enrollment and graduation data link right here. So I'm going to click on that and just talk about some of this data as it comes up. If you've been looking at all at what's happening with a lot of colleges right now, there is what is being called the enrollment cliff, which just means that there are fewer and fewer graduating high school students in general, and then fewer and fewer that are going to college. So there's a reduction in the number of students out there that can apply to colleges and can attend colleges after high school. So that's leading to some challenges in a number of universities in maintaining their numbers. And what you can see here pretty quickly is that UIC, at least engineering, has been growing significantly, almost double in 10 years. So this program is strong. It continues to grow. And if you're looking for a university that you don't have to worry about where it's going to be going in the next few years, I think this is a good choice. I am going to scroll down to some data that I actually have not seen presented this way at any other school. I think it is representative of what happens at a lot of schools, but I'll just point out, if you look at the number of students that are enrolling in any major, if we look at any of these, versus the ones that graduate, the scale is even different in the graduation graphs, because all of the graduation numbers are significantly lower than the enrollment numbers. So while I say this is representative, it does happen. The statistics for students going into engineering, graduating with an engineering degree, is not 100%. I think this is lower than maybe somewhere that focuses more on retention. Colorado School of Mines, for example, I think has an 80% retention rate. But for schools that are local and our state schools, you can see a lot of this. So this tells you a few things. One is you may go into school and find something else that you didn't know existed. But also, if you do decide to go do something else, you're not alone. There are a lot of people who start out thinking they're going to do something as a major, and then they go off to do something else. So anyway, I just scroll through these so you can see all the numbers and get a feel for what they all are. I did scroll through here and think about, is there a certain major that has better retention than others? I think probably industrial engineering is a little bit higher than some of the other engineerings, but none of them are really stand out. The dashboard that UIC provides for student outcomes is right here. I again will provide this link. I've done gone over to the college dashboard tab and filtered for engineering, so we can just see that, similar to the data that we just looked at, the size of the class is growing year over year. And that's pretty much what you can tell from this top number. I do want to point out some of the other data that they provide. On the bottom left, there's a race ethnicity chart that compares the number of students and then the percent of the students with each race ethnicity for over a 5-year period. Just at a quick glance, it looks like the percent of minorities is going down, but what's actually happening is the number of students that are claiming other is increasing, and so I think that's just taking away from all of the other percents. So it's a little bit hard to tell if there's any change over time, but you can use this data to understand what the racial and ethnic diversity is at UIC. If we go over to gender, it stayed pretty steady, maybe a slight increase in the number of females versus males, but pretty typical for an engineering school. A quarter of the students to be female is not considered terrible compared to some other schools. So the career outcomes, I think, is where UIC really stands out. You'll see pretty quickly here that the percent of each graduating class that has successful outcome has gone up significantly, even in the last 5 years. 19 was pre-pandemic. That should have been okay numbers. If anything, the 2020 numbers would have been a little bit lower. But as we've come out of the pandemic, these numbers have become very, very good. We saw that their retention rate really is very, very poor. So the story that I'm getting here is that if you get to the end and you do graduate with an engineering degree, you've got a really, really good chance of getting a job that you're interested in, and a job that puts you where you want to be. The next tab is the employment tab. This one gives us locations of first jobs, employers, and employer locations. So I'm just going to start with the map. So UIC is a local school in Chicago. It is very close to downtown, giving you easy access to employers that are in the city of Chicago. Given that 86% of the grads are staying within Illinois, to me that's really not surprising that it's so high, just given where the school is and the more local nature of it. But as usual, we see California, Texas, and Washington featured in the top 5 states where grads go out of state. That's pretty typical for any engineering school, with some anomalies. But Wisconsin and Michigan are also high. Those are geographically very close to UIC, and Chicago and Illinois. What's interesting to me is that Indiana doesn't feature very highly, so that's an interesting one to me. But again, students from Chicago living in Chicago may or may not want to go over to the region or to Indianapolis. So engineering grads from UIC can expect to have a lot of opportunities in Chicago. And then if you want to go other places, there are other states where you'll find other grads that are going to those places, but not a whole lot. What I'm going to do is I'm going to sort this by percent so you can see the states where fewer than 10 grads go, but still some other ones. So you can take a look at that and see if those are states that you're interested in. Again, fewer than 10 grads, so not very many. But if we go over to the employers and do the same sort, what we will find is that that the employers that hire from here are from a wide variety of industries. Navistar is in transportation logistics, Northrop Grumman, space and defense, Discover Financial Services, financial, Sargent and Lundy is power, like electrical power, as is ComEd, Amazon, consumer goods. So there's quite a wide variety here. I am going to scroll down so you can see some of these other options, but any of these companies that are hiring multiple grads are probably going to be recruiting from the school. The school itself does brag about how many employers come to recruit, so a pretty good indication that the grads are in demand. The thing I recommend with this data is to come back and look at the specific major that you're interested in and see what companies hire from here. I do incorporate this information in the discipline-specific videos, so you can get that information for all different schools, but for this school specifically, you can see that the most mechanical engineering grads, because that's what I filtered on, went to Navistar, which is that transportation logistics company that we had discussed earlier. The next tab is the salary tab. They do not provide us with a whole lot of details. They're just stratified by $25,000 increments. But what you can see over time is that the salaries have moved up over $75,000, where in the class of 2023, we've got at least 57 plus 15, 72% of the grads making $75,000 or more. That is a pretty good starting salary for engineers, and because this is in Chicago, I'd expect it to be a little bit higher than some of the other schools that are not based in high cost of living areas. But good results, and a positive for this school again. The next tab is internships while at UIC. This is something I'm always very interested in, and the data below will support this. So we've got, in the last class, almost 75% of the class of 23 had at least one internship, and 25% had none. You can tell that they're working on this and trying to move that forward. I'll reference back to that guaranteed freshman internship program. If there is anything like that at your school, you should absolutely take advantage of it. It is better to take a little bit longer to get through school and have work experience than it is to graduate quickly and not have any. So let's just scroll down to the bottom here. The school did a statistical analysis comparing two different populations. One is the population of grads who had full-time employment 6 months after graduation, and the other is the group of students that did not have full-time employment 6 months after graduation. And you can tell that there's a difference just graphically, but they also did it statistically to show that for the grads that had full-time employment after graduation, they were much more likely to have one or more internships versus the group that could not find a job or did not have a job after graduation, and the number of internships they had. So for each of these double columns, you can see here, 19, 20, 21, there is a significant difference between the population of students that had a job. The short story is, please get work experience while you're in school, if you can at all, in any way. Like I said earlier, delaying your graduation and getting that work experience is probably going to serve you better than graduating early and not having the experience. That's all the data that the University of Illinois Chicago School of Engineering provides. Please like, subscribe, share with friends. Take a look at the links that are provided in the description for more information, and we'll see you on the next one.